Hello and welcome to episode 11 of On the Trail with Miles James Dean. In my past few episodes, I've shared some interesting characters and situational encounters while traveling across the United States, and there will be plenty more tales to share. However, today, I'm going to redirect attention to the horses, providing you with more details about their emotional, physical, and mental state, and introduce you to my next driver. In this episode of On the Trail with Miles James Dean. So pull up a chair, and I'll be right back. Welcome back. In the past couple of episodes, my driver and a good friend, Jim Kelly, from Connecticut, and I together took you down memory lane, sharing with you our tales from the trail. In refocusing on the horses and on their physical conditioning, you'll remember that Sankofa's stamina was tested and proven as he was used almost 70% of the ride on the East Coast trek of the journey. And this was possible not only because of the preconditioning he underwent, but also because he wore easy boots on all four hoofs, allowing him to walk and sometimes lope on the hard surfaces. Let me show you an image of the easy boot. These rubberized boots replaced the use of metal shoes and a farrier, and I only needed to trim his hooves every 4 to 6 weeks so that the boots would continue to be used. The easy boots came in a variety of sizes. I truly don't remember the number of miles I was able to cover before needing to replace the boots, but I do know that the life of the boot extended well beyond the normal 6 to 8 week reshoeing time if I were using metal horseshoes. Luckily, the boots were able to fit on 2 of the 5 horses I rode. Of course, Sonny, my Kentucky Mountain saddle horse, didn't need the rubber shoes, and they were primarily used for Sankofa and for Blaze. Let me show you here. There you see the easy boots that were worn by Sankofa and the easy boots that I wore as well. There you'll see the easy boots being worn by Sankofa's first companion horse, Blaze. There we were at one of the historical black colleges, I believe in Pennsylvania. So, in addition to the easy boots fitting properly on the hoof, the health and safety factor and the financial practicality of using easy boots, I must say in all honesty that using easy boots on my horses gave them and me the edge that we needed to get down the railroad tracks, over the diagonally shaped concrete slabs supporting the bridges that ran across the roadways we traveled down, and up and over the slippery and rocky slopes of the Chocolate Mountain Ranges in California. Look, believe me, this was not a paid endorsement for the Easy Boot Company, although I have sought their endorsement, to which they have yet to reply. No, this is not an endorsement for them. It is just an admission that the Easy Boots were extremely beneficial for me to get down that track, or trek, I should say. There is an admission that I must make with regard to the Easy Boat, which is that I should not have left the Easy Boat on the horses for a few days at a time, which I did, but rather had taken them off each day. Now, I knew that the proper maintenance of the horse's hooves when wearing metal shoes required that I pick out and brush the hoof both before and after each ride to avoid stone bruises and debris in general from accumulating in the frog of the hoof. But I neglected doing it on a daily basis, thinking that it was unnecessary since the hoof was protected by the boots. And while the boot did avoid those issues of bruises and debris, the hoof still needed to breathe. And not only the hoof needed to breathe fresh air, but it was a mistake that I made, and Sankofa suffered for it. Over the few months of riding and intermittently removing the boot was insufficient. And Sankofa's hooves needed to breathe, and eventually an abscess developed because of the bacteria that set in. And by the time the symptoms of the discomfort produced themselves, we were in Kentucky. Now, Sankofa, true to his Arabian breeding, had already proven his stamina and passion for work, and it was he who did the bulk of the work, traveling from New York down to Washington, D.C., and through West Virginia into Kentucky, Kentucky's wider roads, city streets, and major highways. But he now needed medical attention. I took him to a veterinarian hospital in Kentucky where, after the medical procedure he underwent, he was now finally able to get the much needed rest that he deserved. And I couldn't have asked for a better caretaker than Karen, who joined in Arkansas as the new driver and caretaker for the horses. Karen flew in from upstate New York to take over where Jim left off and help me and the horses to continue the ride from Kentucky into Arizona. Here is a image of, there's Karen. Karen was at the time, a retired occupational and health administration compliance officer. And in addition to that, she was an excellent equestrian. After retiring, she continued hiring herself out as a home caretaker exclusively for horses. And it was for that reason the offering of her talent, skills, and professional experience of working with the horses during the journey was just what the doctor offered. There you see, I believe it's on the first day of our arrival. You see she came with duffel bag and some other items, and I'm there making room for her. So let me get back here. Yeah, absolutely, definitely what the doctor ordered. Not only for Sankofa, but also for Sonny and for me. In an interview with a reporter from a Fort Worth, I believe it was Fort Worth, Texas newspaper, Karen said, and I quote, "I believe in what he is doing." And true to her word, she was dedicated to her task, and she took excellent care of those horses. In fact, she brought something to the table that no other driver and caretaker of horses, including myself, had neglected. Well, I had neglected it for some time. What she brought to the table was pampering and they loved every moment of it. Actually, I think it increased their motivation to go to work the next day. They knew that they would be hand fed and groomed in the evenings. Yes, reflecting on it, I do think she spoiled them, and I'm not mad at her for it. So, while Sankofa healed, we continued the 2 day ride into Arkadelphia from Kentucky. Now, from Arkansas, Little Rock, yeah. And I rode that part of the trail with Sonny. Although he wore metal shoes, it did not present a problem because we were now, for the most part, riding on the grassy surfaces that had become the substitute for the concrete surfaces that would become commonplace in the remaining states that I would be traveling. Mr. Dave Stefanik, who at the time was president of the Kentucky Mountain Saddle Horse Association, and from whom I acquired Sonny, who was his personal horse, and if he had others, then Sonny was surely one of them. He cautioned that I should keep Sonny's front hooves long, which was necessary for his ability to maintain his natural gait, is what I presumed. I was able to put miles on him that equaled what Sankofa could put out in a day. He was as calm as a cucumber and was not disturbed by passing vehicles that came close or that went by at quicker speeds. Nothing rattled him, and his even temperament made him a perfect match for Sankofa, and they shared time and space as friends, playfully enjoying each other's company. I think I have a. Oops, no, there you are. There you see them playfully in enjoying each other. That was taken, I think, at Fisk University. Yes, I do believe it was Fisk. So, let's get back to me. So, he was able to do 10 miles an hour, which is the same thing that Sankofa was able to do. But what I would like for you to be mindful of is just as Sankofa's physical ailment crept up slowly on him, the effects of riding 40 miles a day were creeping up on me as well. Karen's arrival was indeed a godsend for all of us. Sankofa was now getting what he needed, which was care and rest, and Sankofa, along with Sonny, were getting the emotional nurturing and pampering they both needed and deserved, while I was once again relieved, although not completely, from those responsibilities, including mucking out the trailer. She did that as well. But there was something else she brought to the journey. For much of the ride through Tennessee and Arkansas, Jim and I ate cowboy chuck wagon style for about a month, and Karen was having no part of that. We quickly got back into the land with the corn and the carrots and the fresh vegetables and such. In fact, for those of you who have visited my YouTube channel and listened to the song I wrote called Cowboy Ride, you'll remember that the lyrics spoke about the diet that I maintained during the journey. And much of the inspiration for the song came from the healthy eating habits of the women drivers on the journey. I'll post a link below to check out the song, and I hope you enjoy it. So we rode into Arkadelphia, as I said, from Little Rock on the 28th of December, just a few days after the Christmas party that Gary and his group in Little Rock had thrown. Arkansas Cowboys and Cowgirls threw this at their clubhouse in Little Rock. and it was a treat. There we did several things. In Arkadelphia, we met Llewellyn and his brother, who arranged for an interview at a local radio station. We were introduced to Penny and Rich Wheat, who donated a Rick Wheat Novell headstall to use on Sankofa. If I can find a picture of that, I'll post it. But its design allowed me to maintain the amount of control I wanted with Sankofa while eliminating the use of a bit in his mouth by switching the pressure points from his mouth to the bridge of his nose. It was very effective for the limited amount of control required to ride Sankofa, and Llewellyn also donated a tank full of gas to help us stay on the trail. There you see me with the reading the book, The Debt. Okay, here we go. There is Llewellyn, very, very good brother in Arkadelphia. There are some well-wishers, and looks like a check being written for. Oh, that was nice. So let's go back here. Let's see. So, as I said, with the care that Karen was given to Sankofa, it was within a matter of time that he was able to get back on the trail. And I could tell that he wanted to get back on the trail because he was becoming restless and in need of exercise. And I think he desperately wanted to work. True to his Arabian breeding, when Sankofa got agitated or impatient, he would start prancing and arching his neck, and he had been that way for a couple of days before I finally put him back under saddle. But when I did put him back under saddle, he picked up right where he left off. It was like second nature to him. He knew the mission he was on, and wasn't going to let Sonny outwork him or outclass him. After all, he was an Arabian and a stallion. So I was now back. Once Sankofa got back into his groove, I was back to putting 40 miles a day, and Karen was right back on point with the pre-ride morning preparation, the 2 changes of horses during the day, and the evening post-ride bedding down preparations in the early evening hours. She did it all, and all I had to do was to ride the ride. This allowed me to focus on the route and on the writing of the Black American history content that was being posted on the Black Heritage Writers website whenever I could get a good web developer, and I went through several of those. But anyone who is a writer knows what 2 hours in the saddle feels like, and 6 hours if you are on a working ranch. And the fact that I was putting in 40 physical miles a day only begged the question, for how long? I would like to say something about good people. Good people can really make your day. I have met some really good people all through the journey, and I continue to meet good people everywhere I go. I'm not talking about good in the sense of right versus wrong. That's one characteristic of the good that I'm speaking about, but more specifically, I'm speaking about the good that is observed in the spontaneity of kindness offered in the moment. It could be in the fleeting moment, like a smile or a nod or another type of momentary acknowledgement, or it could last for several moments, as it did just the other day when Todd, who lives in Naples, offered to help me to put some pretty large packages into my truck and then tie them down. For about 10 minutes, we had casual conversation with a few chuckles and, on occasion, a couple of smiles. And after shaking hands and leaving, all I knew was his name. I didn't know his religion, or his politics, or any of his personal orientations. It was just a good people day. I hope you're having one also. And now, as Roy would always say, happy trails to you. Till we meet again.